As we engage in this work together, these norms are going to be really important as you work to really understand all of those goals that we laid out. The most important one here is that last one, paying attention to yourself. Pay attention to how you're participating, what you're thinking, and what you're feeling as we engage in the learning today. You will need a few things, and if you need to gather them, you can go ahead and pause the video while you do that. You will need a paper or a journal and some writing utensils today, so that might be an item you wish to gather. We also need you to come with an open mind and a space that's fairly free from distractions. And finally, a willingness to really reflect and engage in this work with us. So if you need to pause and grab some materials, go ahead and do that now. The first piece of our discussion today is about making connections. We know when we enter into a school, we need to make connections with students. We also know that that is what is most important in students' learning. And so we have two quotes here that I want to start with as we talk about making connections. They come from women who really are pioneers and leaders in the work around relationships. And you see on the right Maya Angelou, and Maya Angelou tells us that she's learned people will forget what you said and forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And this is true as we think about interacting with our scholars in schools, right? We need them to feel a sense of belonging, and we get to create that environment for them as the adults in the space. We'll talk more about that. You also see on your left Dr. Zaretta Hammond. Dr. Zaretta Hammond is an educator who brings together the worlds of education and neuroscience. She talks about culturally responsive teaching and the brain. And her quote here says that the core of positive relationships is trust. So why do we need to spend intentional time getting to know each other, getting to know scholars? Intentionally building relationships is essential to scholars' success in school, and it's also its own set of learning and the natural way that humans connect with each other. Relationships go two ways. We need to give of ourselves, and we also need to receive something back from someone else. We'll talk a little later about the importance of understanding context and identity and history to develop even deeper relationships. But at its core, building relationships is about trust and generating trust. We have to trust our students, and they need to trust us. Trust is not a given, it is earned. It's natural for us to be a little wary of one another until that trust is built. As we continue on with this training, we'll engage in some ideas of activities that you can adapt to use with scholars when you're in our schools. For now, we'll use these experiences to reflect on what we're bringing to the table as we engage in the work of volunteering in schools. And so Dr. Hammond talks about this idea of trust. She talks about these trust generators. And these trust generators are very simply just ways to intentionally build trust. And so the first she brings to us is this idea of selective vulnerability. People respect and connect with others who share their own vulnerable moments. It means showing the human side of yourself that's not perfect. And we need this because we need a kid to come to us and say, this math is really hard. I'm struggling with this friendship or this reading assignment. And if we are selectively vulnerable with ourselves and we share bits and pieces of ourselves, students will have an environment where they trust that they can come to us. Familiarity. We develop that sense of familiarity with people that we see often in a particular setting. If you are volunteering in the cafeteria every Wednesday, if you are there for arrival and dismissal on Mondays, if you're tutoring on Friday afternoons or supervising recess on Thursday, whatever it is, you are there when you say you're going to be there. Your presence alone generates trust because it is expected, and kids learn they can rely on you. Similarity of interests is fairly self-explanatory. We know that we create bonds with people who share similar likes and dislikes and hobbies. It forms this connection beyond any obvious differences that exist, such as age, right? So we want you to find similar interests with kids and develop that sense of connection. When Dr. Hammond talks about concern, she's not talking about pity or feeling bad for somebody here. Dr. Hammond is talking about showing concern for issues and events that are important to somebody else. births and deaths and illnesses, social causes, love of animals, whatever it might be, that we show authentic interest and concern for what's important to somebody else. It plants that seed of personal regard. And finally, competence. Our scholars need to know that you know what you're doing. You need to know math if you're tutoring math. If you're supervising recess, you need to know which door the kids go in to use the restroom. When you have competence, kids understand that you have the skill and the knowledge, as well as the will to help and support them. They have confidence in your competence. We're going to dig into using these trust generators in the next video.